Thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop. On today's review, I'll be taking a look at the Marvel Legends Monster Venom Wave and the Marvel Legends Apocalypse Wave. Today I'll be reviewing these two waves in 6 categories: accessories, articulation, design, is it essential to your collection, functionality, and price. Once all scores are totaled, I'll be giving you my opinion if these two waves are a pass or a purchase. So this will be different than anything that I have done thus far. Instead of reviewing each action figure, I'll be scoring them as an entire wave. Meaning I'll be taking the average score of the collective group, and that will be the overall score of each wave per round. So for the Venom wave, for accessories, I'll be giving that entire wave a 3. 3 out of the figures come with no accessories. That is Poison, Scream, and Spider-Ham. Carnage actually comes with the most. Typhoid Mary comes with 1 blade. Venom comes with a Eddie Brock head, which in my opinion is way too big for the figure, and some sort of symbiote effect that sits upon his shoulders. So for the Apocalypse wave, Gladiator is the only figure that does not come with accessories. I kind of want to say Sabretooth does not come with accessories. However, the shawl around his neck is detachable. Storm comes with some lighting effects. Multiple Man comes with 3 interchangeable heads. Wolverine comes with an extra pair of hands. Psylocke comes with the perhaps most accessories out of this wave: a blade, a psychic piece on her arm, as well as a psychic piece that goes over her head. Magnus comes with lightning effects as well, and an alternate head. So for accessories, I'll be giving the Apocalypse wave a 6 out of 10. So for articulation, starting with the Venom wave, the male symbiotes move predominantly well. When it comes to Spider-Ham, he has the worst articulation out of the entire wave. The arms are very limited in movement. Below the waist, there is 1 point of articulation that falls below the boot. You're able to rotate it left and right. Aside from that, there's no articulation in the knees. There is no mid-thigh joint. There is no upper thigh joint. The 2 female characters have single jointed elbows, which bend to about 90 degrees. Aside from the elbows, both are articulated pretty well. However, with the heads, being that the hair on both figures are so long, it limits the articulation for them to look upward. So for articulation, I'll be giving the Venom wave a 5 out of 10. So for the Apocalypse wave, all the figures in the wave pretty much move very well. Gladiator head is barely able to look up at all. Both female figures have single jointed elbows, bending into about 90 degrees. I would consider both waves to be about even when it comes to articulation. The difference is that the Monster Venom wave has the Spider-Ham figure, which drastically takes away points as far as articulation for that entire wave. So for the Apocalypse wave, I'm going to give them a 7 out of 10 for articulation. So for design, I'm going to say 5 out of the 6 figures look particularly well out of the Venom Monster wave. The exception will be Venom himself, the Eddie Brock Venom. In my opinion, he's just a bit too small. I recall that particular Venom being a little bigger. In addition, the Eddie Brock head, it's way too big for the figure, and it actually looks kind of doofy when you put it on. So that's a head that I actually won't be using at all with this particular figure. Aside from that figure, the rest look well. One of the issues that I have with Spider-Ham is that the webs are not painted black. For Typhoid Mary, I really like how the stocking looks kind of mixed in or ripped in with the leg itself, even though it's not sculpted that way. So for the Build-A-Figure, I am not particularly familiar with the Monster Venom. However, I don't have to be familiar with a figure to appreciate how good it looks. The figure is stocky, it's wide, it's big, it has a variations of colors, black, purple, white, so it actually looks very well. So for design, I'll be giving the Monster Venom wave a 7 out of 10. So for design for the Apocalypse wave, I am familiar with all 7 of the characters to this wave. I'm familiar with the looks that Marvel Legend has actually given us. And I feel that they did a phenomenal job with these particular figures, even though we're seeing a lot of shared pieces, especially with the multiple man figure. I was actually able to land the version of Psylocke that has the purple hair. If I didn't, I would be taking off points for that. I feel that they really did a fantastic job with Storm as well as Wolverine. Moving on to the Build-A-Figure, Apocalypse has this metallic blue sheen, which looks very well, and it's actually shimmering in the camera. He also has this grimace expression upon his face with the red eyes, which looks very menacing. So for design, I'm going to give the Apocalypse Wave a 9 out of 10. So as far as being essential to your collection, I'll be completely honest. I wasn't familiar with Poison nor Scream. Those are two characters that are new to me and part of the Spider-Verse that I haven't dived into yet. If not the Spider-Verse, some sort of symbiote verse. I'm pretty sure in the comic collection, somebody will correct me. Aside from that, we are receiving repeats of figures. We've already received this Carnage a bit earlier. We've already received the Venom a bit earlier as well. While I'm a fan of this Typhoid Mary, I feel that she looks great. This is not the version that I'm used to, so I would have actually preferred the classic design for Typhoid Mary. So considering that we're not receiving classic designs, we've received 2 figures out of this wave before, I'm going to give the Monster Venom wave a 5 out of 10 for being essential to your collection. In addition, I'm just not sure how Typhoid Mary relates to each of these characters. If she does relate, can someone please drop a line in the comment section? So for the Apocalypse Wave, I'll get straight to the point. As far as being essential to your collection, I'm going to give them a 9 out of 10. Each of these characters in some way relates to the next one. The reason I gave it a 9 instead of a 10 out of 10, if Magneto would have had his classic design versus the one that he's wearing here. So for functionality for the Monster Venom wave, for the figures that actually come with accessories, they each fit on pretty well and easy. However, back to the Spider-Ham figure again. I would say most of these figures would be an 8 when it comes to functionality. This Spider-Ham, in my opinion, is probably a 2, the 3, the most. Averaging that out, this number isn't exactly accurate. However, I'm going to give the entire wave a 6 for functionality. So for functionality for the Apocalypse wave, the reason that it comes in at this score is pretty much the same reason. Gladiator, Magneto, as well as Multiple Man really don't look up too far. Storm is perhaps the exception to being the only flying figure out of this wave that actually can have their head tilt way back. So for functionality, I'm going to give this particular wave an 8 out of 10. So for pricing, the Monster Venom wave has 6 figures to build Venom. At $20 each, that brings you to a price of around $120. These figures are kept in most retailers that are locally, so you should be able to find them without having to pay for shipping. On the other hand, the Apocalypse wave, it takes 7 figures to build Apocalypse, so now you're looking at a price of $140. So for the Monster Venom wave, is it a pass or purchase? Let's take a look at a few things. So some of the negatives are we're receiving 2 of the same figures that we received before, which is Carnage and Venom, and they don't come with enough to make it worthwhile purchasing them again if you've already had them from their previous release. Aside from that, Spider-Ham, I know a lot of individuals wanted this particular figure. In my opinion, it is disappointing because of the lack of articulation. With that said, lack of articulation and not having him is better than not having him. So now to the collectors who are into the symbiotes, you're able to collect 2 more symbiotes to add to your group. Again, the Typhoid Mary just completely throws me off here. She's better suited with the X-Men. She would have fitted better in that X-Men wave than with the symbiotes. However, she's thrown in here. With all of that said, the gem of this wave is the Build-A-Figure itself. It is enormous. It's able to fit into some of your other Marvel collections for those who collect Revoltech or SH Fig Arts. This can be your predominant Venom figure. So with that said, and all the flaws of this wave, for pricing, I'm going to give it an 8 out of 10. And it is a purchase. So for the Apocalypse wave, this boils down to, are you a fan of the 90s version of X-Men. And if you are, then this wave is an absolute purchase for you. For pricing, it comes in a bit more than a Venom wave because you have to buy another figure to complete Apocalypse. However, unlike that wave, all of these figures somehow tie in. There's some sort of connection with each one or the particular group itself. Whereas with the Venom wave, the Build-A-Figure being the shining piece of that collection, I feel that with the Apocalypse wave, there are other gems to the collection aside from Apocalypse. So for pricing, I'm going to give this an 8 out of 10. So that will give the Monster Venom wave a overall Cliff score of 34 out of 60, and that will give the X-Men Apocalypse wave an overall Cliff score of 47 out of 60. So I'll be reviewing the Sauron wave and the Spider DX. I'm not sure what that figure is called, but I will be reviewing both of those waves in a similar fashion. So I want to thank you for tuning in to Mr. Cliff's Toy Shop, and I hope to see you during the next review.